everyone and welcome to today's episode of the vlog. So today we are back on the TTS. So we are splitting the engine into, we're going to split the gearbox and the engine, take a look at the new engine and then take it from there. So that's the plan for today. We're also going to be reviewing this product here, the BT200 from Top Done. It's a battery tester and really useful tool to have in your arsenal. So we'll take a look at that today. So it was great having the RS4 last week. Hope you enjoyed that. It's a little bit different to what we normally do, but we do review videos, and I've got a whole playlist of those if you want to have a look at that and some of the cars that we do as well. So anyway, let's not waste any time. Let's get on and well see where we are with the engine extraction from the TTS. And just like that, we are back on the TT. So no engine, the engine is gone. I managed to get it round to the other side. You can just see it over there. We're going to take a look at it in a second, but this engine bay is pretty clear now, so we've got a nice clean path to put this vehicle back together. Now I'm still in two minds whether I need to drop that subframe, because as you can see we need to put the prop shaft. I'm going to have a take another look at the manual just to see what it says about actually putting the prop shaft together, whether you need to drop the subframe, because dropping the subframe on these is a real pain. It's not difficult, it's just lots of little bits to undo. It's literally 4 bolts and then 2 at the back, but you've also got all these ancillaries that you've got to drop, the drop links there as well, and it's just messy. So if I can get away with not doing it, that would be great, but no doubt I probably will have to do it as well. And we're going to give the engine bay a bit of a clean up as well, so it looks presentable, because we're going to have a new engine here, so it might as well make the new engine look as good as possible. But yeah, we got the engine out, and let's go and take a look at the engine itself. So here's the old engine on the frame. Today's task, we've got to split the gearbox, and this gearbox weighs a ton, trust me, because just moving it 90 degrees. So getting this, getting the engine on here is going to be interesting. I may have to get a hoist. I might have to get a hoist to do that. I probably should get a hoist. But what we're going to do, we're going to take the turbo off, give the turbo a good clean up. That's the first task. Then we need to undo the bolts that hold the prop shaft, not the prop shaft, but the I can't remember what it's called, the box that mates to the prop shaft to the back of the four-wheel drive system, or the mine's gone blank. It's been a long day, guys. Right, so we do need to split that, and there's only a couple of bolts that hold that together, and then that will come away, and then that will allow us to then take the gearbox and that off as one unit. And then we got the interesting task of wiggling that gearbox free. We also need to take off the fan belt. That needs to come off as well. The fan belt, the alternator, that needs to come off as well. Now on the new engine, it's got a lot of these parts here, so we don't have to worry about that, which is really good, because I didn't really relish wanting to do that piece. But we will need, we are going to do the cam belt change, but we may not do that, and we won't do that in this episode. And then we just need to take off the starter motor. So lots of things to do and get done. Let's start off by getting it done. Okay, so the turbo is off, and the turbo is in really good condition actually. The turbines are nice and tight and loose, no friction there whatsoever, which is good. No cracks on the casing, and everything is in good order. So we'll just give it a little bit of a clean up, and then we'll put it back in place. Next thing we need to do, we need to take off this alternator. Now I've just taken off the fan belt, so that's all good. So we'll take the alternator off, and then we'll work our way around the front, start on doing some of this piping. Now we don't know how much we're going to need, because the engine is still in here and we still haven't unwrapped it to take a look to see what's on there. But I know that quite a few bits and pieces that you see on the front here are actually in situ, so we won't need that, but we do need the alternator and we do need the AC pump. So those are the two things that we'll work on taking off next. Okay, so starter motor, nope, sorry, the alternator and the AC condenser, those are out. That was a little bit tough to come out, but it's out now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to remove some of this pipe work here so we can start seeing the starter motor, because that's the next thing that we're going to remove. Once we get the start motor out, then we'll be able to see the bolts to remove the gearbox. So, and this little tool here, absolute game changer. It's designed to undo these types of clips. So essentially goes on like, let's do it properly now. So once you open it right out, you can see that it goes on the clip like that, and then it literally opens it out and locks on like that. So it makes it easier to remove that, preferably with two hands, but absolute game changer tool for taking these clips out safely and without damaging them. Okay, let's get this pipe work off and then we'll be able to get that starter motor. Okay, gearbox time. Fortunately, this isn't my first rodeo when it comes to gearboxes, so we got, if I remember right, 6 bolts to undo. There's 1, 2, there's 1 in there, 3, 4, and then there's 1 down below, 5, and I think there might be 1 underneath, if I can remember right. That one's a tricky one, but we've got the tool to get in there and do that one. And the one behind, then we've got a couple of bolts here that hold the still can't remember what this is, but I know a million of you are going to tell me in the comments. This is a transfer gear or transfer box. We need to unbolt that, 1 at the top and 1 down below, so we'll need to spin the gearbox, the whole dolly around for that. And once we get that apart, that's when the fun and games start, where we have to shake the thing apart. Alright, let's start off with the easy ones first. Okay, pivotal moment now. We've undone the 2 bolts here that hold the transfer box in place, and then there's 1 bolt underneath here which I remember now, so that is just underneath there. We've just taken that off, and it's a long bolt too. It's this sucker. So now we're at a pivotal moment. The gearbox should now be in a position to come apart, so we're going to do that now. Wish me luck. Ta-da! And just like that, the gearbox and the engine is separated. Now I didn't show it on camera because it was really difficult. It wasn't difficult, it was more awkward, and it felt really heavy, so I was being really careful. But actually the gearbox wasn't that heavy after all. And transfer box, there you go, transfer box, that's what it is. So we've left the transfer box on there because if we take it apart, there's a whole lot of gaskets that we have to do, and there's a bolt in the middle, and there's no need because once we took it off, it came off really easy. So there's your gearbox and there's your engine. Now we're going to reveal that. What we've done, here's a plan of action. We'll cut it loose, the new engine, we'll slide him on here hopefully, and then in the next episode we will bring these two together. We will marry the new gearbox to the new engine. Let's cut her loose and take a good look at her for the first time. And the engine is inside, nice and safe. It actually went on quite easy on the Sky. I didn't show it because it's boring for you guys. Right, so this engine is the correct engine, and this, looking at this, I'm just going to hide the engine number if that's okay. But here, if you can see that, this engine was built in 2010. This previous engine, that one over there, that was built in 2008. So this is a newer engine, and that's rightly so. It's the right engine as well, so it's a CDL, which is the 272 brake horsepower engine. It has no oil in it because it's been transported, which is great. It's actually looking in really good condition. I am very impressed with this. Now the company I bought it from, they have a very good reputation. Basically they just break these cars. So we've got all the ancillaries at the front. The only thing that's missing is the inlet manifold, which we got, and a turbo, which we got as well. So we also are missing the flywheel, so we'll just take our flywheel off here, we'll put it onto here, and then what we'll do in our next episode is we'll change the cam belt kit, because although this engine has done 57,000, that one's done 108,000. So we'll just change the cam belt so we know it's done. So we'll do that next week. Then once we get the cam belt changed, we'll then make the gearbox up and then somehow get it back on here, as well as get rid of that one. Well, what's great about this is that a lot of these pipes on this car, they've perished and broken off. So I had visions of me having to buy them, but of course I don't have to because they're already done. And a lot of these, I had to buy a new one of these. I've got a new one, but I don't need one because it's already there. So that's a thermostat housing, etc. We do need to put in the oh no, it's actually there. So this is the little piston that sits on top there, so that's actually in place, so that's good. Make sure it goes back in where it's supposed to. Good. Right, so very pleased with this. Of course, the proof in the pudding is, will it start up first time? So that's what we need to do, and we'll only know that once we get this back together. But first, in the first instance, it looks pretty good. Now, this car has been in this situation now for the last 4 months. So as you can imagine, in any engine that's got this amount of time, the battery is going to eventually die. And I've been keeping this battery in good condition, and that's all thanks to this device here, which is a from Topdon. We've worked with Topdon in the past. This is the BT 2000 or 200. It's a battery tester, and let me show you what it does. Well, essentially it tests your battery to tell you what the health of it is. So we just plug it in, negative and positive, plugs all in, fires up, and then we can do a multitude of tests. So the first test that we'll do a battery test, because we can do that. We can't do a crank test because we don't have the engine in place. But essentially, you pick your battery type. So this is a regular flooded battery, but we can do AGM, we can do a gel, and an EFB battery. So the battery in a Tesla is an AGM, and in the newer TTs or the newer Audis, they use AGM, high capacity batteries. So this is a what type of battery? This is a flooded battery, so it's a wet battery. So we'll do a test based on that. So you literally just select, using these two buttons here, your battery type. You then select on the enter button, and then you select the standard. This is a CCA battery, so we will select that, but you've got all of these different standards as well. Press enter. Check the CCA standard again, so we've got CCA 500 or 495, so we can go up and down on that. Ours is a 500, and then we just press test. It will run through the test, as you can see. Doesn't take long to do the test, and then after that it will tell you whether the battery is good. Now in this scenario, this battery is good. It's telling us that it has a healthy CCA of 659, which is good. Charge is 100%, so it's pushing out 12.69 volts, and it's in a good condition. And that's the reason why this battery is in such good condition after being disconnected for 4 months, is because I've been charging it regularly. So we've been giving it a little charge every other week or so just to keep it in good health. But there are other things that you can do as well. You can do a crank test. We can't do that because this car is disconnected. You can do a charging test. Again, you do that with the engine running, and then after that you can review the data, and of course this is the data that we've just seen. So this is a really good handy thing to have. And one of the other things that I do as well, I'll show you in a second, I have a battery that I keep. It's an AGM battery, so let's go and test that. So this is my AGM battery. I keep this for emergency reasons, so let's do a test on that. So we'll select AGM this time on the tester. Okay, then we will check what standard this is. So in this scenario, this one is a DIN, so we will select DIN, and we can see what the DIN setting on this one is. 420A DIN, so we will just push it up to 420. Here we go, 420. Press enter. It will run its test, and then this will tell us if the battery needs to be charged or not. So in this one is saying it's good charging. It's a healthy battery. It's about 95%. It's pushing out about 410, so it's slightly less than what it should do. So we probably need to give this battery a charge just to get it back in good condition, and that's where this comes in handy. So if you've got a car that's not cranking, or is just not doing what it's supposed to, and the battery is weak, this will tell you whether or not you need to change your battery or not, or whether you need to charge it. So it's a good tool to have in your toolbox. I'll put a link below in the description where you can get hold of this if you're interested. But like I said, very good to have. Okay, so we're in a good place. So the gearbox is split. Gearbox wasn't as heavy as I thought it was. It was just the awkwardness of the engine being on top of that platform. So we've got a new engine in. Now next week we'll do a cam belt change on there, because like I mentioned, it's worth doing it while the engine's out. It's so much easier to do it with the engine out as well. And we're pretty pleased with the condition of the engine, which is great. I did notice that the rear valves, that's the valves going in the inlet manifold, are also gummed up. So we'll probably give those a bit of a clean before we put the inlet manifold in there, because they're not going to see the light of day again. So we'll take advantage of that next week as well. So lots coming up. So hopefully we'll marry the gearbox next week, and then we'll start to put this car back together. So the rebuilding process begins next week, and that's where the real fun is. Of course, we've still got that question, will the engine start? Will it be okay? On the surface it looks pretty good, but you never know until you get these things back together. So stay tuned for some more fun with the TTS, and we'll get that TTS running in no time. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe down here. Click on the bell notification so you're notified whenever we have a new video. And please don't forget to subscribe and be a part of this. If you're just a casual viewer, we really would appreciate a subscription, because it just helps the channel when it comes to dealing with companies as well, when they see the numbers going in the right direction. Good, that's it for me. We will see you on the next one. Have a good week.